Hello, hello, hello. This is Kenya Rockman, the author and founder of the Child Support Hustle and the Reform Child Support Now movement. I hope you are doing well as you are watching this video, whether you join me now or you watch it later as an upload. I hope you're doing well. Trying to get my. So I'm gonna see if it's okay if I turn this light off, and it seems to be okay. I'm just fooling with this light because, you know, I like this one. That way I don't need both of them. So thank you for joining, everybody. How are you? I hope you're doing well. Don't forget, click the like, all that good stuff. So I'm going to jump right in. Hopefully my chat will work because I like talking to you guys. Okay. Hi, Corey. Thanks for joining. Okay. So we, as we see the coronavirus, as they're telling us that the country is opening back up, I've noticed that more jurisdictions are locking people up. So I want to do a video about this, them hunting parents, and they're known to do that, and just talk about a little bit, if this is your situation, for you to know some of your rights and kind of how to file complaints if you need to, whether it's your rights in the child support situation that are being violated, or if it's your civil rights, which I believe that this child support violates human rights as well as your due process rights and the rights covered under the Constitution. So I wanted just to give that information, but I want to go over a case in particular or a situation. Um, Hi, C. I don't know if I like. I know I'm being. I don't know. So don't mind me. I'm just fooling around. Okay, so according to Jeremy Jackson on News 19 in Lauderdale County, Alabama, the district attorney's office has issued more than 200 warrants as part of a roundup for parents who have made no effort to pay child support. That's a quote. Some points that were made in the article include that there was a combined total of about 3 million owed in debt. Okay. The amount included more than 1 million in actual child support and the rest in interest. They're going to get you with that interest, but keep in mind that interest is on a fake debt. The child support coordinator, Christina Martin, said that challenges of the pandemic, so they acknowledged the pandemic was a challenge. I'm sorry, guys, my screen went up. The child support coordinator, Christina Martin, said that challenges of the pandemic led to nonviolent offenders not being arrested, and as a result, many didn't pay. Now I want to stop right there with this woman being, first of all, she's not a lawyer, she's not a law official, law enforcement officer. She's a child support coordinator, and I try to look up what that meant because the problem is that they glorified these caseworkers when they introduced or forced the child support system down our throat and made us made it part of our lives. They took these caseworkers and made them child support workers and gave them almost all kind of authority that a judge would have or a magistrate, and gave them like all this power. So here she's saying that she's a coordinator, and I looked it up out of Wisconsin what it means. It's just a assistant to the director. So she's saying, calling these parents nonviolent offenders. And these labels that they put on people make a big deal, put on parents. Now, mind you, these are somebody's little people's children, and they're calling them offenders. Even if it's nonviolent, they're still calling them offenders, meaning they're criminals. Okay. So they glorified these caseworkers and gave them the, what do you call it? I don't know what the word I want to use. I'm sorry, but gave them a persona, like they were bigger than who they were. And so we got her calling people nonviolent offenders when that's not what parents are. Non-paying parents would be more appropriate from a child support coordinator since she's a collector and a caseworker. But she's saying nonviolent offender. I had a problem with that, so that's why I spoke on it. It's extremely offensive to label these parents that, and based on the Bureau of Justice Statistics, their fact sheet, nonviolent crimes are defined as property, drugs, and public order offenses, which do not involve a threat of harm or an actual attack upon a victim. Public order offenses, according to Larry J., I'm not going to butcher his name, Sielgal, those are acts considered illegal because they conflict with social policy, accepted moral rules, and public opinion. And child support, the way this whole system is set up, the common law theory, everything, welfare recovery program, everything that it is and everything that it is not, is based on public policy. So because we might not agree with how they have it set up, does not make us a criminal if we don't want to comply with that system. So to call a parent that doesn't pay, even if they do have the money and they choose not to pay through that system, that doesn't make them a nonviolent offender. So those labels mean a whole lot, and they like to put labels on parents that don't comply with this system. So, and that public opinion goes a long way because they try to make these guidelines, child support guidelines, like they're laws by the Constitution, but they're really like moral laws, public opinion laws. Public opinion says morally you're supposed to provide for your children. Well, yeah, we know that. But as far as them going and taking a system, a welfare program, and having the government come in and say, we're going to sue you because the public came in and helped take care of your children and you didn't sign a contract, and they come in and charge you interest on that fake debt. That's a whole different situation. And remember, you don't have to take care of your children through this system to take care of your children. I know I see on Twitter, this is kind of off subject, Nick Cannon's had another baby or has a bunch of kids. I don't know exactly how many, but the most that I ever see anybody say is, oh, his child support is going to be so high, his child support is going to kill him. Why would, if he takes care of his children, he never has to step foot into a child support office, a courtroom, or anything. You don't have to participate in that program. Please get that out of your head. You don't have to go down there and say anything. That's why they fight so hard to program us into thinking that it's mandatory to cooperate with them. Unless you receive public welfare benefits, you don't have to go down there and do anything with them. So that's just something, that's a side note. Every time I see Nick and his name, I just want to just tweet it out like, if he take care of his kids, he don't have, what you talking about? But that's neither here nor there. So I just wanted to point out how harmful false labels are when describing parents who allegedly owe debt. Parents are labeled criminals for being poor, and that in itself should be a crime. So for this coordinator to go on the news and say these non-violent offenders, that, I mean, somebody should be saying something about that. And since I know nobody will, I will. So the 200 warrants have been issued, but the coordinator, Ms. Martin, although admitting that there were challenges during the pandemic, stated that they really don't want to fill the jails up or do not want anybody to go to jail. Why would you issue warrants if you don't want anybody to go to jail? She goes on to say that they just want parents to call their office and make an arrangement. If that's all they wanted, okay, hold on. So if they really don't want to fill up the jails during a global pandemic, then don't issue the arrest warrants. They know, because she admitted, everybody knows in the whole world that we're going through a pandemic that shut down the economy, and we're starting to get back together. Whether you believe it was a pandemic, whether you believe in COVID, you have to believe that the world shut down. People were not going to work. People were, I mean, it destroyed the economy. You have to, I mean, that was just apparent, like we went through that. So she knows that. So if you don't want to fill up the jails and you don't want to arrest anybody, don't issue warrants. It's that simple. If they don't want the debt to continue to accumulate during the pandemic, they should have canceled child support payments for all those who lost income. That's all they had to do. That's all they had to do. If they wanted to ensure that parents did not violate the child support order, which technically violated Section 13A 13-4 of the 1975 Code of Alabama. That's how old this stuff is. 1975 Code of Alabama, which is they describe non-support, which is the criminal violation. Excuse me, guys. Let me see. Okay, so their description, the law is, or the guideline, a man or woman commits the crime of non-support if he or she intentionally fails to provide support which that person is able to provide and which that person knows he or she is legally obligated to provide to a spouse or child less than 19 years of age. They need, okay, so that was the statute. So they need to screen these cases before they issue any type of warrant for somebody's arrest. So that's the statute. So from what she said in that article, she didn't even mention the statute. She just said they just issued these warrants, 200 warrants, because people were struggling, they didn't pay, and now they got warrants for their arrest. But they don't want to fill up the jails. They don't want to fill up the jail. That's them saying, oh, we want to help you. That's them double talking. Before they was like, oh, you got to pay, you got to pay. Now they're trying to be nice in the public because we on them. They have been exposed for violating all kinds of the Constitution, due process rights, everything. They've been exposed. So now they have to try to clean it up. So again, another thing, if they want to just have parents call their office and make arrangements, as she said, and they're the government, all they have to do is contact the news outlet, as they did, to let them know that they have warrants out, and tell them to contact the office. All they had to do was explain to the parents that they're not violating any law unless they willfully fail to pay. They can come in, get a modification, talk about their circumstances. They're not going to go to jail. There's no warrants issued. Simple as that. How simple is that? They're not doing it because they don't care. So important information that all child support agents, district attorneys, anybody that issue arrest warrants against parents should be including, has been available since 2011 and before that, but 2011 for sure, per the U.S. Supreme Court in the Turner versus Rogers case. I talk about that all the time, and I put links to all this in the description. So if you want to go back and look up what I'm talking about, the links are there. If you're here, give me a thumbs up if you like what I'm talking about. I appreciate it. So here are some very key issues. And this is something, if you know somebody or you're going through this, or if this is you, if you're on this 200 list, this is something to protect you going forward. So per section 303.6 C4 of the final rule, and that's in the description, they require state child support agencies to establish procedures for the use of civil contempt petitions. So just to go on there and say, oh, we issued these warrants, we want to know what's the procedure, what steps did you guys follow before you issued these warrants on these 200 parents? Before filing a civil contempt action that could result in the non-custodial parent being sent to jail, states must ensure that the child support agency has screened the case to determine whether the facts support a finding that the non-custodial parent has the actual and present ability to pay or to comply with the support order. A parent has to be able to pay. If you're not working, you're not getting unemployment during COVID, you've been sick, you've had COVID or whatever, you become disabled, they have to look at that kind of stuff before they can issue a warrant for your arrest. Why doesn't this coordinator know that? The child support agency must also provide the court with information regarding the non-custodial parent's ability to pay or otherwise comply with the order to help the court make a factual determination regarding to the parent's ability to pay the purge amount or comply with the purge conditions. If you're violating the court order, they're saying that you can comply with it, but you're refusing to. You're willfully going against, you're willfully not paying. So if they haven't found that determination now, they shouldn't be issuing a warrant for your arrest. And finally, prior to going to court, the state must give clear notice to the non-custodial parent that his or her ability to pay constitute the critical question in the civil contempt action. According to this article, the issuance of the warrant seemed to be the first notification that parents received. There doesn't seem to be anything referring to any screening of the cases prior to the issuing of the warrants, which there wasn't in the article. I'm just basing it on that. And I looked at a couple other articles. I didn't read anything about screening. I didn't read about these parents were notified prior. I just read that 200 warrants were issued. Martin said that the DA's office began seeing a response since the warrants were issued on June 21st, 2021, and have collected around $26,000. That's a huge difference, $26K versus the alleged $3 million that was owed, which means they could not have possibly screened those cases to find out ability to pay. They couldn't have screened them to discover actual and present total and actual ability to pay before the warrants were issued. Had they been screened, less warrants would have been issued because the parents clearly didn't have the ability to pay, meaning they violated their own law or their own guideline, however you want to call it. They're not following what the Supreme Court has put forth. I don't understand how come more people don't have a problem with that. It's funny because depending on what the issue is, people want to scream, Supreme Court, yeah, that's violation, my constitutional rights, my this, my that. But when it comes to child support and these violations, it's like crickets. Nobody wants to say anything. And I don't understand for the life of me how this is allowed to go on. Like, these people work for us. Our salaries pay their bills. I mean, our taxes pay their salaries. So I don't, that's that bad. Like, how can this go on? This is the most oppressive system I think that's in operation today. Without going into the actual prison system, I mean, prison without the bars, this is it. Especially when you haven't been convicted of anything. The parents haven't even been convicted of a crime. They just have a court order that most of the time, a lot of parents don't even know about. They're in debt for a default judgment for a lot of times kids, that's not even theirs, or they didn't even know existed. And now they're in $10,000, $20,000 of debt, and then their whole life is ran by this system. And people don't seem to have a problem with it. Martin said that if you owe back child support and the DA's office contacts you, she tells the parents there, don't be scared to respond. But who wouldn't be scared? You gotta go to jail. You gotta sit there. If you don't have the money to get out, how you could sit there for who knows until they decide to let you out. Clearly, the officials in Lauderdale County are violating the Supreme Court ruling, and they are violating parents' right to due process. Not to mention, based on research, contempt charges do not guarantee more collections. In fact, the Office of Child Support Enforcement stated in a report that there is no evidence that routine use of contempt proceedings improves collection rates or consistent support payments to families. That's from the federal office. They have proof that contempt does not improve collections, and yet they still use it. It makes sense. If a parent is in jail, how are they going to pay support? And if the support is owed to the state, the child's not getting the money anyway. It's state support. What does happen in that incarcerating these parents who cannot afford to pay creates a revolving door to jail and increased child support debt. So there was a study conducted by, I'm gonna give their last names, Brito, B-R-I-T-O, Pate Jr., and Wong, W-O-N-G, from the University of Wisconsin in Madison. There are some significant points in relation to poor parents who owe child support debt that have to be mentioned because it details the discriminatory factors within the child support program. And if you're new to the child support hustle, if you're new to coming on my channel or my Facebook page, thank you all for your support. I have always been careful with talking about race or the discriminatory factors that go into the system, and saying that the only color, I know race is not a color, but you get my drift, that the government cares about is green. Money green. That's it. That's all. So, but in this instance, the facts and the stats show, according to this brief, that most non-custodial fathers who do not pay child support are poor and face substantial obstacles in finding jobs that will give them the means to pay. One study found that 75% of non-custodial fathers with incomes below 130% of the federal poverty line did not work full-time. Another study found 60% of poor fathers who do not pay child support belong to racial and ethnic minorities. 29% are incarcerated, 43% have not completed high school, 39% have health problems, 32% have been unemployed for at least 3 years. These factors are critical in deciding ability to pay and should always be considered when dealing with any financial matter. So if it's not child support, if it's something else, and they're trying to base whatever you're trying to pay or whatever on something that's not actual and factual, then you should either, if you can, go somewhere else or get somebody else to help you with that. Because why would you be paying something that you cannot afford to pay? Why would somebody even put you in a contract like that? But again, we have to say child support is not a contract. So, especially in one that is a welfare recovery program that requires custodial parents to assign their rights over to the state. Alabama is one in 27 other states refusing to pass through any child support collected to families receiving TANF and Medicaid benefits. So let's see how the state of Alabama benefits from forcing a struggling parent to give up their rights to current and future child support for $215 a month. That's what a parent with 2 children get in return for assigning their rights to current and future child support payments over to the state of Alabama. I'm not going to include in that $215 Medicaid, because if the custodial parent doesn't receive the Medicaid, the children can still receive CHIP without it caught, making the custodial parent apply for these benefits, sue for child support. I'm sorry. So we know that they don't pass through any child support. In 2020, for every $1 spent on the program, the state received in return on investment $5.82. That's higher than the national average of $5.51. Not bad, Alabama. Not bad. Between 2016 and 2020, Alabama received an estimated $17.5 million in incentives that could have been passed on to the kids, but again, they keep this money. That almost $2 million in interest that the article discusses is because Alabama used to charge 12% interest on unpaid principal per month prior to 2011, September 1st, 2011. Now they charge 7.5% interest. That's interest on a fake debt. Because of this, the current amount of support owed in 2020 was a little over $442 million. That's current, $442 million, while the arrears totaled, are y'all ready for this? $3.7 billion. $3.7 billion. It's not even $500,000 owed. State owed debt totaled $378,725,948 in 2020. That's money that, if they collect it, will never reach the children. Not a penny. So keep that in mind. That is so important to this whole system. They claim that it's for children. It's child support, but the states are making off like a fat rat. They are getting paid, and they've been getting paid for 30 years off of this system. And look at the stats. Don't take my word for it. Look at child poverty and see if this system is so great and so beneficial to low income children. It's supposed to lift children out of poverty. Then why aren't children lifted out of poverty? Those numbers haven't risen dramatically. If anything, children have stayed in poverty and gotten worse because they have taken away the safety net programs. And then they're charging low income parents with felonies and misdemeanors and holding them in jail without their right to due process, which is harmful or hurtful to them trying to get a job. Take their license. Do they put barriers up and then blame them because they can't pay? Y'all try to make that make sense. And if you are one that says, oh, the child support, they need to pay their child support, picture if that was happening to you. Imagine if the shoe was on the other foot and you didn't have the money to pay. And you just had a warrant issued without your right to due process. And you were going through COVID just like everybody else. It'll put a different taste in your mouth when it's you. Okay, so going back to Martin, she had a mouthful. She had a lot to say in that article. So she said this is quote, we worked really hard in collaboration with DHR Child Support Unit and the Sheriff's Department to get these warrants taken care of, end quote. They've been working real hard. Notice that she did not mention working really hard with parents, either the custodial or the non-custodial, to get those warrants taken care of prior to the warrants being issued. They didn't try to contact the parents to offer a downward modification during COVID. She didn't mention that. I think that would be something crucial to mention. If you bring up COVID and you said that parents didn't pay during COVID, then at least you could say is we try to contact them and give them an opportunity to lower their payments if they lost their job or something like that. Maybe have the two parents communicate with each other, come up with a payment plan, something like that that's going to be beneficial and help out the family. She didn't say that. Did they try to contact them to offer them some job opportunities? Now, mind you, when COVID was going on, all the county was shut down. Those child support courts, child support offices, everything was shut down. They still got paid. They got paid. And then when they couldn't go back to work, they worked at home. That is not the case for the rest of America. So I'm glad that they didn't, go through the struggle like a lot of other people did. But did you call and try to find other people jobs instead of trying to work with DHR and the Sheriff's Department to get the warrants taken care of, Miss Martin? Did they tell parents that they would be paying 100% of the child support to them during the pandemic to make ends meet, to help them make ends meet? They don't pass through zero. They pass through nothing. But during the pandemic, did they say, hey, the child support that we collect, that you do pay, we'll make sure your children get it so that at least they have some extra food, to make sure their electric is on, to make sure the money that you pay, because I know you're struggling and I know the other parent is struggling, so these kids have to be struggling. So what you pay when you get your stimulus and we take that from you, when you get your unemployment, if you're fortunate enough, and we take that from you, we'll guarantee 100% that your children get that money. Did she work with them? Did anybody in any state work with any parents like that? It's child support. I ain't hear nothing like that. I heard warrants and what they didn't pay. Usually in these admissions of false arrests and denials of due process in the name of child support, the spokesperson, in this case, Ms. Martin, at least mentioned how the unconstitutional practice of arresting parents for owing a debt benefits children. But Martin didn't mention children one time in this interview that she did. She didn't talk about how the money helps children, how much of the money collected, particularly the $26,000 that had already been collected, how much of that reached the children. She didn't mention one time all the $26,000 that was collected out of the 3 million all went to families. You know why she didn't say it? Because she couldn't say it. All 26,000, and I'm willing to bet. I know I'm not going to get an answer even if I ask. They're not going to answer me. But if anybody can ask and get the answer, I want to know how much of that $26,000 that they have collected from these struggling parents actually went to the children. It's their money. It's their money. Did she mention how arresting parents will help the children in the future? They never talk about, oh, if we arresting parents is going to make them this, that, the kids are going to benefit, because it doesn't. It's helping the government. It's helping the government. What's your question? What is that? Reddit? What's your question? So okay, so that's what I want to say about that article. Oh my gosh. I don't know how to block people on here, but I'm about to block whoever. I was really thinking that person had a had a serious question. Y'all know I don't be knowing all this stuff. People do not have like that is something else. Okay, I blocked him. But I thought he was saying something because they were talking about some serious stuff. But you know, trolls troll and all that kind of stuff. I myself don't do that, so I really think I give people the benefit of the doubt. But back on topic, that was gross. Okay, so to parents who are thinking about signing up for child support, I have one word: don't. Unless there's government involvement, meaning receiving welfare benefits. Dang, I can't get rid of this. Okay. Um, you do not have to participate in the child support program. So always keep that in mind. If y'all can work it out, work it out. It's going to be beneficial in the long run to both of you, and most importantly to your children. It's going to make sense financially too. What's the point on giving them a cut of any money that you all make just because? There's no point in that. If you have a case and you want to close the case, there's two different steps depending on the case that you have. Now, if you have a welfare case, that's different than if you have a non-welfare case. If you have a non-welfare case, it's going to be up to the custodial parent whether to close the arrears, whether to, close the case and erase the arrears. So sometimes y'all can do a compromise and just you can work it out with them. But that's really, and if you are the custodial parent and you want to close it out and they're giving you a hard time, then just know it's your right to do that. So don't give up and don't let them bully you into not closing your case, because they get money off of every open case. Every collection they get money. There's 5 performance measures that guarantee them to get that incentive money. Next, if you do have a welfare case or a Title 4D case, it's a lot more detailed. They'll fight you and tell you it's impossible to close that case, but it can be done. That's what happened in my case. I fought them. It took a long time, but it did happen. You have to fight for your rights. Remember, you are your strongest advocate, especially if you are not on that system anymore. If you don't receive any public benefits and they just have those arrears right there, and A lot of people are reporting now, especially with the stimulus money, that the exes or the dads or the non-custodial parents stimulus was taken, and the custodial parent didn't receive any, or if they did, they received a small fraction of it, while the rest of it went to the government. That's going to continue to happen as long as those arrears are open. As long as they have those arrears that's owed to the government, that's going to keep happening over and over and over forever, because that interest is going to keep piling up, and they're not going to ever just close that case. So if you can, start your paperwork right now to dismiss the case, terminate the case, and erase the arrears. And this is about your rights if you're in Alabama, because that's what I'm talking about. Okay, so Alabama, I'm pretty sure that all states, all jurisdictions are going to have something about your due process rights or something like that. At least now they do. So Alabama Department of Human Services has the right, has said you have the right to be told about all important actions concerning your case. You have a right to request a receipt to any action by the agency. You may request a conference with the child support worker who has been handling your case. You may request a review of your case at the county level without a conference with the worker. You may request an administrative hearing at the state office level, at the state support enforcement office. Okay, so you have all those rights, and I say use them. What's not on their website is that you can file a complaint against the local office with the Office of Federal Child Support, with their regional offices. I put the link in the description. And they have it like mapped out. So you will file with the person to contact with your information with your case. And you can file, I put the complaint form link in the description, with the Federal Office of Child Support Enforcement. If you can't get any justice, anything like that in your state or with your local child support agency, then you file a complaint with them. And we file a complaint until, like I said, until they change it. They've changed the link a couple times on me. So that's something else. And if you have a civil rights, or you feel like your civil rights have been violated, whether it's been through the child support system or whether it's been in any other issue, you can file a complaint with the Department of Health and Human Services. And I also put that link in the description. Don't forget, please, to sign our petition to erase all government owed debt. We really want that money to benefit the children, and it's not benefiting the children by locking parents up and letting the people, because they have the power to do so, keep violating other people, our rights, just because they have the power to do so. If we get that debt erased, it'll change the lives for a lot of people. Just like they go on and on about erasing student loan debt and how important it would be and how great it would be and how, how that would benefit so many people. So would erasing state owed or government owed child support debt. So I'm gonna sign a petition. Okay, so that's it. I'm glad everybody stuck in with me. Even though that was, I think, the first real troll I had, so I couldn't help but laugh. Some people are ignorant. So let me see if I have any questions before I log off, okay? If you have any, just let me know. That's where I got that. Wisconsin, they do a lot of reports up there, Peter. I don't know if you're still on here, but they do a lot of reports on the child support system and how unfair and unconstitutional it is. Suspended licenses too. You're right. No, I haven't watched it yet. See. Yes, Marcus, it does. It continues to do so. And until we do something about this horrible and devastating system, it will continue to devastate people's and destroy people's lives. Oh, thank you for joining, Deshaun. Welcome. Yeah, they do, Corey. They end up trapped. Yeah, that's what I heard too. Those modifications. I'm sorry, when you work two jobs, they can take more money, but they're not supposed to. There's um there's a limitation based on the credit. I can't think of the name of it, but I put it on another video. I'll put the link up in the description. But there's a limit to what they can take, and it's 65%. And that I have this on my mind, so I don't have the actual information right. What am I having in front of me? But it's very specific. Like they can't take, but they do. They can do whatever they want to because they have the power, but they're not supposed to. Um, so you might want to, who's that? Smooth. You might want to go back and file a complaint. If they're not doing what they're supposed to do, file a complaint. If they're violating your rights, file a complaint. And if somebody is giving you to run around, go over their head. Everybody in that system works for somebody. And we can't keep letting them violate our rights because, I mean, really it comes down to the kids. There are really, and this stimulus money, man, they made so much money off of robbing parents from the stimulus money. It's not even funny. Like I can't, like it's so disgusting. And the kids didn't get it. And they'll sit up there and swear that they for the kids child support this and the child that was highway robbery. I'm still hearing from parents that one parent was paid this and the other parent only got $200 out of two stimulus checks and all that kind of stuff, and they kept it. And then on top of that, they're not even reporting on the bill that they intercepted that money. So the balance that's owed isn't even decreasing when they're stealing this money from parents. Like it's the coldest system I have seen in my lifetime. I know there's been colder, but that shit is crazy. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure. I'm gonna have to ask my son. So don't nobody come on here asking me, trolling me like that no more. That was, I don't know. No, I'm not going to edit and take it out. It is what it is. So thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate y'all. Thanks for all the thumbs up. Thanks for subscribing to my channel. We got 2.3K. So that's awesome. I never thought we'd get that many. I really didn't. So I'm just smiling from ear to ear. Is the state still getting the money? If this is supposed to go to her, she passed away, my condolences. That he should file to terminate that case. I would file to terminate it. If the money is owed to the state, just say, well, how is that benefiting the child? That's what we have to start arguing and putting in our arguments. How is it benefiting the children? It's called child support, best interest of the child. That's what we always hear. And they are sitting here robbing people blind, robbing us of our freedoms, robbing you guys of your freedom, your money, your children, and saying it's for the best interest of the kids. You can't have one, you can't have both of them. Yeah, I would thought I had that whole case terminated. Mashonda, I thought I had that whole case terminated. So if there's no more questions. Like I said, thank you guys, and thanks for subscribing. I really appreciate it. I'm back home now, so I'm gonna try to do another video next week. If there's some topics that you want to discuss or something you want to research, let me know. Again, I'm not working on individual cases anymore, so I'm just putting that out there. I know I get emails when people have personal questions or personal cases, and I'm not being rude or anything. That's just not, I don't do that. I don't do those anymore. It take a lot of time. And I don't have that time anymore. So I'll try to help you out with links, and I have a lot of information on my website, thechild-support-hustle.com. My Facebook page. There's a huge support system there. That's the Child Support Hustle on Facebook. We're on Instagram and Twitter. So trying to get you guys to the right places. But as far as me doing an individual case by case work with people, I can't, I don't do those anymore. So it's nothing personal, it's nothing disrespectful. It's just what it is right now. So if you are interested in buying my book, the information in here, you can get it at my website, thechild-support-hustle.com. You can get a t-shirt. If y'all interested in a certain color, or y'all want like a different style or something, let me know, and I can see about getting some. Black and gray just always was, those is stuff everybody can wear with everything. And I've been doing this for a long time, but I could see some different colors. But y'all let me know. Thank you, Atlas. I appreciate it. Thank you, Smooth. I appreciate you guys. I really do. Um, yeah, that's another reason why I don't do individual cases anymore, because I figure I can reach more people if I do like videos like this and talk about stuff that's in the news, and I can just do more. Because individual cases, first of all, I'm not a lawyer. I'm a child support reform advocate. And this stuff will take some, y'all know, y'all fighting the system. So y'all know this stuff can take, this stuff can take a toll on you. And not everybody, it's a lot going on. I'm gonna talk about once I retire all the way, then y'all come on here and be like, what is she talking about? I'm telling it all. This shit is crazy. You're welcome. Thank you. You have a blessed day as well. Y'all enjoy y'all rest of y'all weekend. Again, thank you. I hope this information helped you out. Don't forget, tell a friend to tell a friend. And I'm gonna try to get more content. I don't want to just come on here and ramble, because I can go talk, especially when y'all talk back. I can just keep talking, but I definitely want to put out information, give y'all links so y'all can go, and we better when we can all share the information and we all have something we can tell other people. That's how you grow an army. That's, it's not one person so-called in charge. No, it's a whole group of us fighting together, and we all have the information, and we all armed with the tools we need to fight the machine. And that's what I really want to do. So that's what the purpose is of me, putting the links and sharing this and sharing that. Y'all have it. Let's work together. Let's get it done, because together we can. I'm telling you, we can defeat this child support machine. We really can. So, okay, I'm gonna get up out of here. Remember, they can ignore hundreds, they can ignore thousands, but they cannot ignore millions. Let's go.